Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another gunpla review, and today I'm taking a look at the high-grade Universal Century MS-06S Zaku 2, and of course, this is the one and only Char Zaku. Once again, as always, this video right here would not have been possible without those awesome people over at HobbyLink Japan, so if you do want a Char Zaku of your own, link is down there in the description. So right away, this right here is what this kit looks like put together, straight out of the box with a little bit of panel lining, and that is it. This is an absolutely fantastic looking version of Char Aznavour's classic Zaku 2, but you might be wondering what makes this any different to all of those kits we would have seen before in the past. Well, until right now, my favorite Zaku kit out of every Zaku kit I've ever taken a look at is the high-grade The Origin kit. It's dark, it's detailed, the articulation is great, and it just looks sheer awesome. But one thing this is not is accurate to the iconic 1979 classic, because of course it's from The Origin, which is a very modern Gundam anime with, well, CG mobile suits. However, what we got right here is pretty much bang on what you saw back in 1979, just modernized that little bit. If classic old-school anime accuracy is what you want out of your high-grade Char Zaku, this is the one that you want. As far as I've seen, this is the most accurate to the anime I've ever seen color-wise. Compared to some scenes, it may be a little bit richer, but I find in the anime it tends to change a little bit depending on the light and shadows, etc. But this right here is a very good, rich variant of that color. It may not come up so well on the camera because that just tends to be the case with cameras and Char Zaku colors, but it is that old school color, but maybe a little subtle bit richer. Another anime accurate aspect that this awesome little high grade crams in is this somewhat humanoid curvy aspect that the old school Zakus had. In the anime I always found they moved in a kind of humanoid or human style way as opposed to a big old robot. The Zaku's arms, legs, etc. would all curve in a very anatomical sort of way, not necessarily a robot sort of way, and that is very reflected in this kit. In the way Bandai has added some extra articulation into the arms that gives it some nice curves towards the wrist, just below the elbow, and in this very interesting rubberized skirting armor, which is optional in case you don't like that, but we will talk about that a little more later on. So next up there is the full 360-degree spin of this kit, just so you can see every little bit of detail and every angle. And although this kit may be a little bit lacking when it comes to surface detail, that of course is to keep this anime accurate, this thing really speaks with its proportions and its articulation more than what it's got going on the surface. Once again, if you do want a super detailed surface on your high-grade Zaku, then the Origin version is probably for you. But if you want something that's so iconic, so anime accurate, so perfect, and also extremely expressive, this might be the one you're looking for. When it comes to the build of this kit, it's that brilliant combination of simple yet so intelligent and so enjoyable to build that Bandai does tend to bring to its Universal Century classic mecha. The utmost respect and care was put into this kit right here, and it really does show. It's solid as a rock, it feels great, it looks fantastic, and this right here is also a no polycap build. Personally, I love kits that are no polycap. They tend to be a lot stronger, less likely to fall apart, and there's something about the design of no polycap builds that feels so deliberate. When it comes to polycaps, it's one size fits all, you see the same polycaps over and over again, but when there is no polycaps, especially with a kit like this which was designed from the ground up just for this kit, you know you're getting something extremely special. When it comes to cleaning this thing up, once again, I've just snipped this off the runner. That is it. That's all I do for these reviews because of kits like this. You won't see a nub mark anywhere besides that one there on that rubberized skirting armor. Besides that, the actual plastic on this is phenomenal. There is one or two here or there, but once again, I did just snip and go with this. That is all. When it comes to mold and seam lines, it has a couple, but nothing all that bad. A lot of them are masked as gaps between the armor plating, like on the back of the leg, but there is a fairly obvious looking one on the forearm you may want to close up, and there is a mold line right down the entire middle of that spiky shoulder pad, but besides that, they're not that obvious and not too hard to clean up. But when it comes to modern high-grade kits, this one is pretty cheap in comparison to a lot we've seen before, so all I can say is, when are you making a green one, Bandai, so I can buy a shit ton of them? So now moving on to the accessories, and here's the brand new Char Zaku 2 with absolutely everything that it comes with. And this kit is rocking quite a bit. The first of the weapons is that classic Zaku 2 machine gun. This is all in the one color, but it is made out of quite a few parts, so it is incredibly detailed. We have a moving front handle, a moving sight section. The ammo drum up top is removable, but we do have a second spare one in here, which is cool. This can be mounted on the butt flap, but only the hard butt flap. So if you do equip the soft one, well, then you're out of luck. Not gonna attach. As for attaching this, you've got your standard sandwich style high grade hands. There is a peg in the handle of the machine gun, so it holds in very, very well. As for that swinging front handle, that can be held in the standard pair of fists we've seen on this kit thus far. And because this kit has ample articulation, you're going to get whatever double-handed machine gun pose you want out of this. Honestly, it really is so good. It looks ridiculously good. I am very, very impressed here. Also, it is pretty cool that this kit does include a left and a right firearm holding hand, so it can be held in either the left or the right hand. That is always cool. I hate it when they just come with the one. This is a nice extra. The second long-range weapon we have in here is that Zaku bazooka. Once again, this is all in the one shade of plastic, but it is made out of a whole bunch of parts, so once again, this is quite detailed. The only thing that kind of throws me off is there is no sticker, no part, no nothing for inside the sight section. So this does look a little bit odd and a little bit blank. They included a sticker for the mono eye. Why not for this? As for the moving parts, we've got this handle down here which tilts forward and back, the front handle which swings side to side, and the sight section can also swing side to side, just like so. Once again, this weapon uses the exact same long-range holding hands with the trigger finger we used with the machine gun. Once again, this is a secure connection, sandwich style hand, and everything fits just like it should, and this is not going anywhere or falling off. When not in use, this can be stored round on the butt flap, and unlike the ammo drum, this can be used with either or butt flap because it's not actually the butt flap it attaches to, it's this drop down segment. This attaches on reasonably well. You won't be able to pick the Zaku up by the bazooka, but it attaches on well enough that it won't fall off most of the time. Next up in here then we have the Heat Hawk. There's nothing special about this, it's just one piece of grey plastic. No sticker for the blade, no effect part for the blade, just basic, bog standard Heat Hawk. So there is Char's Zaku holding onto the Heat Hawk, so this can be held in either the left or the right hand. That is the fists we would have seen earlier on, but there is an odd addition to this kit. We do have a second right hand Heat Hawk holding hand. So the only difference with this right hand is that the Heat Hawk can just slide in like so and be held fairly poorly. That is about it. Besides that, it is just another right hand. I mean, the other hand holds it better, you just have to separate the hand in which to attach it in, so this is a very, very odd extra. When not in use, this can be affixed to the side skirts using this little ball jointed adapter. Of course, this is only the hard version of the side skirts because there is no holes in the rubberized versions right here. Also, the Heat Hawk has this little tab on the side that kind of has me stumped because I'm not exactly sure what that is for. There is this tiny little slot on the side of the machine gun, but I doubt it's for cramming in there because, well, that wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense. So if you have any idea what that's for, let me know down in the comments. So lastly in here we have this little rack, which is usually for attaching onto the big shield on the Zaku's shoulder. This isn't mentioned in the instructions, and now I can see why, because it does not fit. It's too narrow compared to that fairly thick shield. This is a, well, typical Zaku storage solution, which is compatible with the included bazooka and the machine gun. So it is a little strange that this cannot be used with the Zaku, so all I can assume is we will be seeing more of these weapons and this particular storage rack in future. We also have those 4 little slots up on the shield just like we would have seen with the origin versions of the Zaku 2. So once again, I assume we will be seeing more of this particular kit in a different color with some different equipment in future. Either that or it is just for maintaining compatibility between these kits because these do fit on from the origin version of the Zaku onto this new variant. Hey, hold up a minute. I guess someone didn't read their runners right, This actually just shares parts from the origin Zaku. I thought I saw that hand somewhere before, it's exactly the same. Wait a minute, you know what that means? Yeah, that the new Char Zaku 2 is compatible with all of the Gundam The Origin Zaku weapons. That is awesome! Next up in here we do have a base adapter that just slides on in there like so, and makes it compatible with a 3mm peg action baser stand, so this feels absolutely perfect. The last thing in here, of course, is the alternate skirting parts. So first off, I absolutely love these rubberized ones. They don't get in the way whatsoever. No matter what kind of pose you want to pull off, these don't get in the way. I love them. This just has a very traditional hip peg that does not move. It just stays in place like that. So these make sure that nothing gets in the way. That is great. But one issue is I did get a bit of a nub mark here, actually around rear as well. And these are pretty much, well, they'd be hard to clean up besides maybe using a hobby knife. Also, I doubt you could paint these effectively, and if they would deform or bend or something like that over time is yet to be known. For example, if you left it in a pose like this, would they be stuck like that after 6 months of being left that way? I have no idea, but I assume that they would. As for swapping out the sections, this is pretty simple. The rubber parts are just 2 sections, so they're easy to remove. The plastic parts consist of 5 sections which attach on really easily, and all in all it only took me about a minute to switch them out, and that was the first try using the instructions, so this is a very simple swap. Next up, there they are side by side, giving that full 360 spin. The rubberized ones are on the left, and the standard hard plastic ones are on the right, so you can look at both, decide which ones you like better. Personally, I really love the rubber ones. They're just so unique, they look cool, they've been matched to the plastic so well, and they don't get in the way of the articulation. As for if the hard ones get in the way or not, let's find out. So now moving on to the articulation of this kit, and all I can say is, it is very, very nice and very natural. The build of this, it's, well, perfect. Solid as a rock. This is going nowhere. I find the loosest section on this so far is this little ball joint right here. I have done a lot with this particular arm, so it has loosened up. You may want to tighten this up by putting a bit of super glue or something on that, because that will get a little bit loose over time. At the neck, we've got one fantastic joint giving us an awesome giggity goo. And the reason for this is it's a ball joint up top and a hinge into the torso. This is incredible, expressive, and really brings the Zaku's neck to the next level. We have that usual little tab under the chin which allows you to move the mono eye without removing the head. Next up, we have this awesome fantastic joint in the torso which allows you to pull out the outside sections of the torso and even rotate them. So this is something I have never seen in a Zaku before. This brings a new unparalleled level of expressive posing that even gets towards the torso. This is incredible and gives you something I have never seen before. If that wasn't good enough, we've got another joint in the shoulder which allows the entire arm to move forward. This is on top of what we just saw, so we have technically 2 joints in the shoulder which allow it to move forward and back. Again, super impressive. Next up, the entire arm can rotate at the shoulder peg, the full 360 degrees. Next up, the arm can raise and lower at this joint. Both of these shoulders share this exact same joint. The only thing that is different is the shoulder armor. Underneath the shield, we do have this little hinge that moves up and down, which works in unison with another hinge inside of the shoulder. The rotation of the connection of both of those points to give you pretty much anything that you would want. Over on the other shoulder, it is a bit different. This is a ball joint on a hinge, which once again is quite expressive and a pretty simple, cool design. Standard full upper arm rotation here, but we also have a second point of articulation, or should I say rotation, of the arm just below the elbow. So that means we've got not 1, but 2 points of rotation here. Actually, technically we've got 3 points of rotation because the arm can rotate at the wrist too. This is a really cool point of rotation because it does change the general curvature of the arm, depending on the way you want it to go and how you want it to look. However, I will mention this joint has loosened up a lot since the beginning of the review, so you may have to tighten this up yourself if you move this kit around quite a bit. Next up here, we have a nice 2-point bend at the elbow, which will net you everything that you want and more. And it is worth noting, because we have a rotation below the elbow, you can, well, put this in some very odd yet useful poses. Next up then, we've got that ball joint in the forearm, which gives us a little extra than we'd usually get down at a wrist. Once again, by rotating this, you can change the curvature of the arm as well as that little bit of a angle in the wrist area. And having this little extra bit of tweaking to the pose of the arms really makes it natural, very anatomical, and, well, essentially not very real robot-y. But if you like natural old school Gundam poses, you may love this. Finally then, at the wrist we have your standard ball joint, but I will mention that this is incredibly tight compared to this one here, so half the time you're getting movement out of the forearm ball as opposed to this ball, so it can be a little bit, well, irksome at times, so just make sure to hold on to it there while trying to get your poses. The ab crunch on this kit is okay, it's nothing crazy, it will get you pretty much everything that you want, but with the extra moving parts up at the neck and the torso, you won't really notice that this is a bit restricted. There is a little bit of side to side, not a whole lot, and we do have the full rotation. Like I said, there isn't a lot of side to side in here, but we do have this moving aspect to the shoulders that kind of reproduces that side to side tilt. So again, no big deal there. You've got this right here to make up for it. Down at the skirting armor now, and your front skirts is your typical ball joint, so the usual up and down, a little bit of in and out. The side skirting is just attached into the rear skirting via a standard peg, so it's only up and down rotation like what you're seeing right now. And as for the butt flap, it's a basic paralyzed butt flap. So as for the hips on this, it is just a standard joint with no dropping mechanism. There is the kick all the way up to the front. Any higher than that and you will knock off the front skirting armor. Not as good as the rubber one. Also, there is one other issue with this solid skirting, and that is when you kick the legs out to the side, one is usually okay, but try it with the other one, and that butt is falling right off. So the rear sections of the legs tend to rub against this and kind of push it off. Also, as this is a non-moving butt flap, you get nothing out to the back. So once again, the rubber one, so much better. At the upper leg, we do have that full rotation as usual. This segment of pipe right here is rubberized, which is really cool. So that does mean when you do bend the leg, that bends too, which is pretty cool. However, I wonder if over time, if this knee joint starts to loosen, will that force the leg forward and force it out of your pose? That is a little bit of a curious conundrum. Also from the side, that doesn't really look all that nice, does it? You can see the segments inside start to flex and kind of bend in there, which is a little bit on the odd side. However, that is a very nice knee bend, and so far, no issues whatsoever, and that looks super awesome. It really does add to that anime aesthetic. There is a whole lot going on inside of this ankle right here. I don't even know how to describe this. There is so much. So much so, it's actually time to bust out the instructions. So we do have a peg up top, a rotating peg in a hole here, and a ball joint here which attaches into the foot right there. That foot section then is on a rotating section right here, so there's a lot going on inside of that foot. But as for the functional movement it gets us, there it is all the way to the front, and it kind of gets stuck. There it is all the way out to the back. Once again, that isn't the greatest really. This little segment here can move in and out on its own. And there is our side, all the way to side pivot, which is okay, not great. So even though there is a whole lot going on inside of this, and it is a fantastically designed joint, the fact that this whole cuff section around here has no moving parts whatsoever is always going to limit what you can get out of that. Also, we have no toe bend. But with all things considered, I have never seen a Zaku pose this dynamically, this awesome before. Sure, there is a couple of letdown joints in here. The ankles could be a little bit better. Honestly, that is about it, but what you get out of this is so much fun. If you love posing your kits, you will adore this Zaku right here. So anyway, that right there is it for the review, and straight out the gate, I'm gonna say it. This kit right here is platinum tier. So the question that I assume a lot of you guys will ask when I give a kit platinum tier is, why is it not Gundarium tier? So the question I always ask myself when it comes to a kit, whether I'm gonna make it platinum tier or Gundarium tier is, does it feel like the grade that it is? In this situation, that would be a high grade. Yes, this does feel like a high grade. That is why it's platinum tier. Sure, it is a crazy, awesome feeling high grade. It's got no polycaps, some of the most awesome articulation I've ever seen in a Zeon suit. It's so anime accurate, and it is just a beauty. The colors are fantastic. The only sticker included in here is for the mono eye, and honestly, the only complaint I have about this is it could be a little bit better in the ankles and maybe have a toe bend, but besides that, this thing is glorious. But like I said, it does feel like a high grade, albeit a glorious high grade. If you do want one of your own, there is a link down there in the description. You can get yours at HobbyLink Japan. I recommend getting one. They are awesome. And if they release the green one, which I hope they will, I'm buying at least 5 of them. At this price point, with this articulation, this really is an absolutely unmissable grunt kit. Anyway, well, this one isn't a grunt kit, but you know what I mean. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and I will see you next time. Once again, I cannot finish this video right here without thanking each and every one of you guys. Whether you just watch my videos, like them, or support the channel on the channel memberships and over on Patreon. Like Craig Jerry, Greg Humphrey, Kaiser721, Tyler Sanders, Caleb Engelhardt, Sean T, and the ambassador for asymmetric cats.